and that is the Colin Gray sentencing. So the father of the Apalachee High School mass shooter Colin Gray is in court in Barrow County to learn how long he'll spend behind bars months after being convicted of more than 24 counts, including second-degree murder. Colin Gray, who's 55, faces a maximum sentence of 180 years in prison after a jury convicted him in March. Prosecutors argued that the father failed to act on obvious mental health warning signs involving his son, who was 14 at the time of the tragedy. Despite those warning signs, Colin Gray provided his son with the AR-15 style assault rifle used in the attack that left 2 students and 2 teachers dead, as well as a number of other people injured. This morning, the judge heard from victims' families, including Richard Aspinwall's wife, who was the football coach who was gunned down by Colt nearly 2 years ago. I want you to take a listen to what she told the judge.
My name is Shana Aspinwall, and I'm the wife of Ricky Aspinwall. On September 4th, 2024, my husband left for work expecting to spend another day doing what he loved, teaching his students, coaching his players, and making a difference in their lives. He never came home. Ricky was the love of my life and the heart of our family. He was an incredible husband, an amazing father to our daughters. Everything he did was for us. He celebrated our victories, carried us through our struggles, and made our home a place filled with love, laughter, and security. To the world, Ricky was a math teacher and a football coach. To his students, he was someone who believed in them, challenged them, and encouraged them. To the players he coached, he was a mentor who taught far more than football. To my daughters, he was an amazing and loving father that would protect them. To me, he was my best friend, my partner, and the person I expected to grow old with. Ricky and I both shared a passion of teaching and coaching. I was a high school teacher as well, but can no longer teach in the classroom due to suffering with PTSD from the trauma of September 4th. What if another student shot me at school? My kids would have no parents because we were both teachers that aspired to help students learn, not be on the front line. Now, our daughters must grow up without their father. They will miss his guidance, his encouragement, his hugs, and all the milestones he should have been here to witness. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, and everyday moments that make up a lifetime will forever be marked by his absence. Colin harped on being a single parent and the struggles that entails in his testimony. He was a single parent by choice. I am now a solo parent because of his actions and lack of parenting. He was a pathetic excuse for a father. Ricky was not. He was an amazing dad to 2 little girls that loved him with his whole heart. My kids were 5 and 2 when he was killed. Psychologically, kids cannot truly process and understand death until the ages of 5 and 6. My now 4-year-old thinks her daddy is still at football practice and wishes he could come home. My now 7-year-old, who is a daddy's girl, spends time going to therapy because she struggled with the grief of losing her dad. Colin could not take his son to therapy, therefore I have to take mine. Ricky got to see her on her first day of kindergarten, but not her last. I have had to learn how to navigate a life I never imagined living. Every morning, I wake up hoping, even for a split second, that this was all a nightmare. Then reality returns. The empty space beside me, the silence in our home, and the questions our daughters ask are constant reminders that our lives have been permanently changed. The trauma the students and teachers faced by seeing my husband lay dead on the floor of the hallway because Colin could not be a responsible gun owner. He did not pull the trigger, but purchased and left a firearm accessible to a minor. My husband was a responsible gun owner that properly locked his guns up away from our children. No sentence can restore what was taken from us. No punishment can give my husband back to his family or erase the pain that has become part of our daily lives. But I ask the court to remember that this case is about more than the lives that ended that day. It is also about the families left behind who must carry the grief and trauma for the rest of our lives. I hope Ricky is remembered not only for the way he died, but for the way he lived. He lived with kindness, integrity, compassion, and courage. He dedicated his life to helping others, and even in his final moments, he was doing what came naturally to him, protecting the students entrusted to his care. Our family will carry his love with us always, but we will always carry the weight of the loss for the rest of our lives. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my husband and our family.
And Shauna Aspinwall was one of several victims' families who spoke during this morning's hearing. They're on a break right now, but let me just get you caught up. So legal experts have noted that Colin Gray's crimes directly linked to his son's actions in a unique way for Georgia courts, and the case is among the first in the nation to seek to hold a parent criminally responsible for allegedly enabling a child's access to a firearm used in a school shooting. We should mention, we know that Colin will not be speaking himself ahead of his sentencing.